3 days before my sister's wedding, I got a charge alert. $8,700. Catering. I called her and heard, "You're a 37-year-old failure. You can afford it." That night I made one call. The next morning the caterer didn't show, and my phone was exploding. I found out my little sister had been stealing from me on a Tuesday. Not because she confessed. Not because the bank flagged it. Because she got greedy. She charged $8,700 to my account for her own wedding catering, and didn't even try to hide it. When I called her, she didn't apologize. She didn't make an excuse. She said, "You're a 37-year-old failure, Tamara. No husband, no kids. You can afford it." Then she told me I'd love the shrimp. The shrimp. Like she'd done me a favor. That night I made one phone call. By the next morning the caterer canceled the order, my phone had 46 missed calls, and my sister's dream wedding was 3 days away with zero food. And I didn't feel guilty for a single second. But let me back up because this didn't start with a catering bill. My name is Tamara. I'm 37. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I work as an insurance adjuster and I pay my own bills with my own money. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. My sister Brooke is 22, 15 years younger, and she has never earned a single thing in her life. Everything she has came from someone else. Usually me. Usually our parents, Diane and Ray. And not once has she ever said thank you. When she was little she was the sweetest kid. Used to follow me everywhere, calling me Marmora, begging me to paint her nails. I was more like a second mom than a sister. I changed her diapers, packed her lunches, sat through every school play. I adored her. Then somewhere around 16 a switch flipped. He got mean. Not bratty mean. She figured out exactly how to say the thing that would hurt you most, then wrap it in a laugh so she could hit you with, "I'm just kidding, relax," if you reacted. And her favorite target was always me. Every jab about being single. Every comment about my weight. Every little dig delivered with a smile. Our parents saw it. I know they did. But Brooke had this gift for turning on the tears whenever someone called her out. She'd scream that nobody loved her, slam doors, blast music, and the whole house would end up feeling guilty. So everyone just let it slide. Year after year. About a year ago Brooke got engaged to Tyler. Now Tyler is, how do I say this? Tyler is 24, hasn't held a job the entire time I've known him, plays video games 12 hours a day, and posts motivational quotes on Instagram like he's some kind of life coach. He told me at Thanksgiving he was between opportunities. I nearly bit through my tongue. But Brooke worships him. Fine. Her life. The problem? Between the two of them they had maybe $300 in savings. Combined. And yet Brooke planned a wedding that looked like it belonged on TV. Venue, flowers, live band, custom gold foil invitations. I kept wondering, who is paying for this? Then I checked my bank statements. It started small. $40 here. $60 there. Stuff I wrote off as old subscriptions. Then it jumped. $150. $300. I finally pulled up 6 weeks of transactions and my stomach hit the floor. Nearly $2,000, drained in small charges, every single one linked to a wedding vendor in Brooke's zip code. A florist. A linen rental company. The bakery making her cake. My bank told me someone had linked my account to a payment app using my personal information. And the only person who'd had access to all that was Brooke. She'd stayed at my place a few months back, borrowed my laptop to check her email. What she really did was save my banking login and set up automatic payments to her vendors. My own sister. The girl I used to carry on my hip. I didn't eat for 2 days. I kept swinging between rage and this deep, hollow sadness I couldn't shake. Not just because of the money. Because of what it meant. She looked at me and saw a bank account. So, did I confront her? No. Because back then I was still the old Tamara. The one who swallowed everything and smiled. The peacekeeper who'd rather choke on her own feelings than cause a scene. Dad, I called my mom. Told her everything. Showed her the statements. And what my mom said shocked me more than the theft itself. She said, "Tamara, I love your sister. But she has gone too far. Your father and I have been looking the other way for too long." First time in my life I heard my mother say that out loud. First time. I'd spent years thinking I was crazy, that I was just bitter like Brooke always said. Hearing my mom finally admit it, I cried from pure relief. Dad called me that same night. 61, retired postal worker, calmest man alive. He said, "Baby girl, we're going to handle this together." And I believed him. So now, the catering. Charge. 3 days before the wedding. $8,700 from a place called Elegant Bites. I called Brooke. She picked up on the second ring, which should have been my first warning because Brooke never picks up fast. "Oh, that," she said, casual as anything. "Yeah, I used your card. You're going to love the shrimp. Brooke, you cannot charge $9,000 to my account. You're a 37-year-old failure, Tamara. No husband. No kids. You eat takeout alone every night. The least you can do is help your sister have a nice wedding. I hung up. Sat in the dark for 10 minutes. And something broke inside me, not my heart, not my patience. The part of me that still believed if I just loved her enough, she'd love me back. I called my dad. I need your help. And I need you to let me do this my way. That night, Mom, Dad, and I talked until midnight. We made a plan. Not petty. Not dramatic. Just firm. And long overdue. Next morning, I called Elegant Bites, explained the unauthorized charge, and they canceled the order. Refund processing. Just like that. 3 days before the wedding. No food. No shrimp. Then my phone exploded. Brooke called 14 times. Tyler called 6. Honestly impressive since I wasn't sure he knew phones made outgoing calls. Her maid of honor Kayla called twice. Then came the all-caps texts. You ruined my wedding. Mom and Dad are going to hear about this. That last one made me laugh out loud alone in my kitchen. Because Mom and Dad already knew. And they were on my side. Dad called Brooke that afternoon. Didn't raise his voice. Ray never does. He has this quiet tone that makes you feel like you just disappointed the entire universe. He told her they knew everything. The stolen charges, the fake payment links, all of it. Then he said the thing that apparently made Brooke go completely silent for the first time in her life. Your mother and I have been sending you $1,500 a month. That stops today. She screamed. She cried. She said we were destroying her life, that we were jealous, that she'd never speak to us again. Dad just waited. And when she was done, he said, when you're ready to act like an adult, we'll be here. But the money is done. That evening, Brooke showed up at my apartment. Uninvited. Mascara everywhere. Tyler parked outside like a mannequin. She was pounding on my door, screaming that I owed her. That I was selfish. That nobody would ever want someone like me. I opened the door. I let her in. And what happened next is the reason everything between us changed. I'll tell you about it very soon, because you're going to want to hear what Brooke did inside my apartment that night. I let Brooke in. I don't know why. Maybe habit. Maybe some leftover instinct from 22 years of being her big sister. She stormed past me, mascara running, hands shaking, and for about 3 seconds I almost felt sorry for her. Then she grabbed my favorite coffee mug off the counter. The one my best friend Nolan gave me for my birthday, the one that said, "World's okayest human," and she threw it at the wall. Didn't say a word first. Just grabbed it and threw it. Ceramic everywhere. Then she looked at me like I was the one who'd done something wrong and said, "That's what you get." I stared at the pieces on the floor. And something in me just went cold. Not angry. Cold. Like all the emotion drained out at once and left behind someone I didn't totally recognize. I looked at Brooke and said very quietly, "You have 5 minutes to say whatever you need to say. Then you're leaving my apartment and you're not coming back until you can act like a person." She wasn't expecting that. I could see it on her face. Old Tamara would have cleaned up the mug, made her some tea, and asked what was wrong. Old Tamara would have apologized for canceling the caterer just to keep the peace. But old Tamara was standing in a pile of broken ceramic and she was done. Brooke started in on me. The greatest hits. I was jealous. I was bitter. I was a lonely, pathetic woman who couldn't stand to see her little sister happy. She said I'd always resented her because she was prettier. She said Mom and Dad only sided with me because I manipulated them. She said Tyler was more of a man than anyone I'd ever dated, which, I'm sorry, almost made me laugh because Tyler was sitting in the car outside probably watching YouTube. I let her go. Didn't interrupt. Didn't react. Just stood there with my arms crossed watching the clock. And when 5 minutes hit, I walked to the front door, opened it and said, "Time's up. You're kicking me out? I told you 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. You're seriously choosing money over your own sister?" "No, Brooke. You chose money over me. Months ago. I'm just now catching up." She stood there for a second, mouth open, and I genuinely think it was the first time in her life someone didn't cave. Then she grabbed her purse, called me a word I'm not going to repeat, and slammed my door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I locked the door, swept up the mug, and then I sat down on my kitchen floor and cried for about 20 minutes straight. Not because I regretted it, because it hurt to finally do the right thing. Here's the part one didn't see coming though. And honestly, I don't think anyone saw it coming. 2 days before the wedding, Tyler called me. Not Brooke. Tyler. The man who I genuinely thought was incapable of independent action picked up a phone and called me, and what he said completely knocked me sideways. "Tamara, I know you don't think much of me. And I get it. But I need you to know, I didn't know she was using your money." I didn't say anything for a second because I honestly wasn't sure this was real. He kept going. "She told me her parents were covering everything. She told me you volunteered to pay for catering as a gift. I found out the truth last night when she was screaming on the phone. I went through her laptop and saw all of it. The payment links. Your bank login saved in her browser. All of it. I sat down. Tyler, are you serious right now? I know I look like a deadbeat. I know your whole family thinks I'm a joke. But I'm not a thief, Tamara. And I didn't sign up for this. I'm going to be honest, I did not expect that. Not even a little. Tyler, the guy I'd written off as furniture with a pulse, was the one person who actually confronted Brooke about what she'd done. Imagine that. The person I respected least in this whole situation turned out to have more backbone than I'd given him credit for. He told me he'd confronted Brooke the night before, after she came home from my apartment. He told her what she did was fraud. Actual fraud. And Brooke's response? She told him if he really loved her, he'd stop asking questions and support her no matter what. Tyler said that was the moment he realized something was really wrong. Not wrong like a bad day. Wrong like a pattern. And he asked me, this is the part that still gets me, he asked me, has she always been like this? Yeah, Tyler, I said. She has. He got quiet for a long time. Then he said, I think I need to postpone the wedding. Now picture this. 2 days out. Venue booked. Guests flying in. Dress fitted. And the groom is calling his fiancée's sister saying he wants to postpone. I almost felt bad for Brooke. Almost. I told Tyler that was his decision, not mine. I wasn't going to talk him into it or out of it. But I told him the truth, that Brooke needed real help. Not money. Not a wedding. She needed to face consequences for the first time in her life, and everyone around her, including me, had failed her by never letting that happen. He thanked me and hung up. And about an hour later my mom called. Tamara. Brooke is at our house. She's hysterical. Tyler told her he wants to push the wedding back. Good, I said. She's breaking things, Tamara. Also not surprised. Mom sighed. She threw a plate at the kitchen wall. Your father is sitting in his recliner reading the newspaper like nothing is happening. I think he might actually be enjoying this. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I could picture Dad, glasses on, newspaper open, completely unfazed while Brooke had a meltdown 6 feet away. That man has nerves of absolute steel. But here's where it gets interesting. My dad, quiet, patient, never raises his voice, Ray, eventually put the newspaper down. And according to my mom, he looked at Brooke and said something that stopped her mid-scream. Brooke, sit down. I'm going to talk and you're going to listen. For once. She sat. Probably from shock more than obedience. And my dad laid it all out. Every single thing. He told her that she had stolen from her own sister. That she had lied to her fiancé. That she had been taking their monthly money for a year and spending it on a wedding she couldn't afford instead of building any kind of actual life. He told her that she was 22 years old and acting like she was 12. And he told her that Tyler, the man she supposedly loved, deserved better than being lied to. And so does Tamara, he said. She has done nothing but love you your entire life. And you treat her like she's nothing. My mom said Brooke just sat there. No screaming. No tears. Just sat. And after a minute she said very quietly, so nobody's coming to my wedding? Dad said, there's no wedding to come to right now, Brooke. And that's your doing. Not ours. She left. Went back to her apartment with Tyler. And for about 18 hours, nobody heard from either of them. No calls. No texts. Total silence. I spent that day cleaning my apartment, replacing the picture frame Brooke knocked off the wall and thinking about everything. Nolan came over that evening. My best friend since college, the one who gave me the mug Brooke destroyed. He brought pizza and 2 bottles of wine because Nolan always knows what the situation calls for. So, he said, handing me a slice. Your sister is insane. She's not insane. She's just never been told no. Same thing in my experience. I laughed. Nolan always made me laugh even when everything felt like it was falling apart. He'd been my rock through all of this, through Brooke's nonsense, through my string of terrible dates, through every low point of the last few years. He was the one person who never made me feel like something was wrong with me for being 37 and single. He'd just shrug and say, you haven't met anyone worth your time yet. That's not a failure. That's standards. We sat on my couch eating pizza and he said something that caught me off guard. You know, Tamara, you've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. When are you going to let someone take care of you? I looked at him. He looked at me. And I swear there was this moment, this tiny, charged, completely unexpected moment, where I thought, wait. Has this always been here? But I shoved it down because, honestly, I had enough chaos in my life without adding complicated feelings about my best friend into the mix. The next morning, one day before what was supposed to be Brooke's wedding, I woke up to a text from Tyler. It said, I told her the wedding is off until she makes things right with you and your parents. She locked herself in the bathroom and hasn't come out. I don't know what to do. I texted back, give her time. She's never had to face herself before. It's going to be ugly for a while. Then I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. It was from Kayla, Brooke's maid of honor. And it said something I absolutely was not prepared for. Hey Tamara. This is Kayla. I don't know if Brooke told you, but she borrowed $3,000 from me for the wedding too. She said she'd pay me back from your parents' money. I just found out that money's been cut off. What do I do? $3,000 from Kayla. Nearly $2,000 drained from me in small charges. $8,700 for catering. $1,500 a month from my parents for a year. I grabbed a piece of paper and started adding it up, and when I saw the total I actually had to put the pen down. Brooke had burned through nearly $30,000 in 1 year on a wedding for a marriage that wasn't even happening anymore. $30,000. And not a single dollar of it was hers. I sat with that number for a while. And then I picked up my phone and called my mom. We need to sit down with Brooke. All of us. Face to face. No screaming, no crying, no running away. A real conversation. My mom said, I agree. But Tamara, are you sure you're ready for that? Because whatever she says, it's going to hurt. Mom, she's been hurting me for years. At least this time I'll be sitting down. And that conversation, the one where our whole family sat in my parents' living room and said everything that needed to be said, that's where the real story is. Because what came out of Brooke's mouth that day was something none of us expected. Not me. Not my parents. Not even Tyler, who sat in the corner looking like a man who'd just woken up from a very long, very confusing dream. I'll tell you what she said very soon. And I'll tell you what it finally made me do, because it wasn't what you think. The meeting happened on a Saturday. What was supposed to be Brooke's wedding day. Instead of walking down an aisle, she was on my parents' couch in sweatpants, no makeup, looking like someone I hadn't seen in years. Small. Tired. Tyler sat next to her, hands folded, actually sitting up straight. Mom made coffee. Dad took his recliner. I sat by the window. Nobody spoke for a while. Dad broke it. Brooke. Floor's yours. She stared at her hands forever. Then, barely a whisper, I know what I did was wrong. Go on, Dad said. I stole from Tamara. I lied to Tyler. I took your money and wasted it. And I know everyone here thinks I'm terrible. Mom reached for her hand. Brooke pulled away. No, Mom. Let me say this. She looked at me. First time since that night in my apartment. And what came out, I was not ready. Tamara, I've been jealous of you my entire life. I blinked. What? You have your own apartment. Your own job. You don't need anyone. I'm 22 and I can't pay my phone bill. I look at you and see everything I'm not, and instead of being better I just tore you down. Because if I made you feel small, maybe I wouldn't feel so useless. Nobody moved. Mom was crying. Dad staring at the floor. Tyler looking at Brooke like he was seeing her for the first time. With the money, she continued, I told myself it wasn't stealing because you're my sister. When you called about the catering, I was so ashamed I got mean instead of honest. That's what I do. Every time I feel caught, I attack. And I'm so tired of being that person. Real tears. Not theatrical Brooke tears. Ugly, messy, impossible to fake. Brooke, I said, you understand this is a crime? I could have pressed charges. I know. You understand calling me a failure and smashing things in my apartment doesn't just get apologized away? I know. And you understand I love you, always have, and that's exactly why this hurts so much? She broke down. Mom lost it. I was barely holding on. Even Dad's eyes were red. People say blood is thicker than water. Maybe. But blood can make you bleed too. And this wasn't just about Brooke apologizing. It was about me deciding if an apology was enough. Dad gave me a small nod. Not telling me what to do. Just, I'm with you. Here's what happens, Brooke. You pay back every dollar. Not from Mom and Dad. From you. That means a real job. You pay Kayla her $3,000. My $2,000. And you handle the catering deposit because Elegant Bites isn't eating that cost. No pun intended. I don't even know where to start. Dad leaned forward. I talked to Gene at the hardware store. He needs someone part-time. A hardware store? You got a better offer? He didn't. Mom added, Tyler, Ray's friend Curtis at the distribution warehouse is hiring. Full-time benefits. Tyler sat up. Yes, ma'am. I'm interested. I almost fell off my chair. Tyler agreeing. Volunteering. What a day. And the wedding, I said. When you've got your own money, your own stability, then you do it. Even if it's folding chairs and a grocery store cake. That'll mean more than any gold foil invitation. Brooke laughed through tears. You hated the gold foil? So much, Brooke. She laughed harder. I laughed. Mom laughed. Dad cracked a tiny smile, which from Ray is basically a standing ovation. Not a movie ending. But honest. And that was more than I ever expected. Over the next couple weeks, things shifted. Brooke started at the hardware store. Complained constantly, obviously, but showed up every shift. Tyler took the warehouse job and was apparently a solid worker once someone gave him structure. They started paying Kayla back. Set up a plan with elegant bites. And Brooke sent me $200 on Venmo with the note. 1 of 10. I'm sorry, Marmara. Marmara. Hadn't heard that in years. Did I forgive her overnight? No. But I left the door open. And for the first time, Brooke was walking through it instead of kicking it down. Now remember Nolan? Pizza and wine Nolan? 2 weeks after the Brooke situation, we were at our usual Italian place. Breadsticks, red sauce. And he was being weird. Fidgety. Stirring his water like it owed him money. You okay? I need to tell you something and I need you to not make it weird. That sentence just made it weird. He laughed. Fair. I've been in love with you for about 3 years. I've watched you go through all of this and every time I just wanted to be the person who fixed it. The timing is terrible. But if your 22-year-old sister can learn honesty, I should probably try too. Breadstick in hand. Brain offline. 3 years, Nolan? About 3 years. I put the breadstick down. Looked at this man who showed up every single time without being asked, who never made me feel broken, who brought pizza when my world was burning. You should have said something sooner. I've been sitting on the same thing for at least a year. His face. Like someone told him he won the lottery and a puppy simultaneously. 3 weeks later. Courthouse. My parents, Nolan's mom, 6 friends. White sundress. His same blazer he wears to everything. Dad walked me in and whispered, "Took you too long enough." Brooke wasn't there, we weren't in that place yet. But she texted that morning, "I'm happy for you, Marmara." I mean it. I think she did. Last time we talked, she'd been at the hardware store 3 weeks. Tyler still at the warehouse. Saving for a small fall ceremony. She said she was learning to budget. Said it like she discovered fire. I told her I was proud of her. Am I too late? She asked. You're 22, Brooke. You're not too late for anything. We still have a long way to go. Some days I can't bring myself to call her. Some days that spot on the wall where the mug shattered makes me angry all over again. But some days she sends a meme at 2 a.m. or calls just to ask how I'm doing, and I see that little girl who followed me room to room. She's still in there. Just got lost for a while. Me. Married to my best friend. Still an insurance adjuster. Still eating takeout on the couch. But now someone's stealing my egg rolls. And honestly, that's all I ever wanted. If this story meant something to you, drop a comment. Have you ever had to stand up to someone you love? Did it get better? I'd genuinely love to hear it. If you enjoyed this, hit like. If you would have handled it differently, tell me that too. I survived, Brooke. I can handle a comment section. Thank you for watching. It means more than you know.